I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies.
This is our land, a land of peace and of plenty, a land of harmony and hope. This is our land.
Guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly, and we are back with another video. If you guys are new to the channel and you enjoy true crime stories, news, politics, and so much more, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. I really would appreciate it. And if you're a returning listener, subscriber, well, thank you guys as always for being a friend. I really appreciate y'all, and please like the video if you like it. Give me a comment, whatever you can do. It really does help me out, and it's a free way to do so. And I thank everyone in advance for watching this video.
You know the thing.
So let's get right into it. All right, y'all. Hey, you know, I don't know when this video is going to be released on my YouTube channel because there's been a lot going on, and yesterday I got hit with a bunch of different notifications and emails saying that links were being taken down. I thought several of my videos have been taken down. I got a strike from YouTube, and so I'm unable to post for a week. I'm in the process of appealing it, but I literally got a strike for posting a link to an article from the Independent about Robert De Niro's sex scandal that he was embroiled in back in the 90s. So apparently YouTube is now striking channels for posting their source links from news sources. So to say the very least, I'm feeling very low right now to a certain extent. Angry, you know, disenfranchised. I don't even know like how to really put my thoughts into words, but you know, I wanted to come on here and just make this video while it was happening. I don't know when it's going to actually be able to get posted on my channel, but nevertheless, after that happened and I was told that several of my videos had gotten flagged and things had been removed and I had gotten a strike and was unable to post, of course I had a feeling that this was not a coincidence, and especially with this whole trial happening simultaneously. I'm not saying that like I was targeted by YouTube because obviously I'm a small channel, but I just do find it funny that this is all happening all at once. So I don't know what to make of that. I just know that like it's very disheartening, and I just feel very down about it all. You know, I just am not really sure where I go from here, because if I can't even post a link in the description box of a video referencing a source that I used in that video, like what am I even doing here on this channel? But anyways, I do want to talk about this because this country, I don't know where it's going. I really don't. I think that, you know, what happened today in the just absolute sham trial of Donald Trump is a travesty, and it is, I mean, just the most disgusting stain on this country. And I know one thing for sure, we'll never be the same after this. And this is bigger than Donald Trump. Now, I have a lot of feelings about this, and I have had time to process it, you know, and when I first found out the news, I was genuinely upset, and I still am upset. I'm still very upset about it. And, you know, I was emotional about it. Like, I actually shed tears over this, and it's not so much having to do with Donald Trump the man and personally what has happened to him, although that is quite upsetting, and I do feel a lot of empathy and sadness towards that, his own personal struggles with what's happening to him. But the sadness and the disappointment and the anger that I'm feeling right now is bigger than Donald Trump, and it has to do with the fact that what happened in New York City with this trial and this jury finding Donald Trump guilty on 34 counts of absolute and utter bullshit, trumped up charges that should have never been brought. I mean, the norms that this is breaking, the lines that this has crossed. I mean, our country's never going to be the same. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I really have reflected on this and tried to remain, as objective as possible. But I just feel it, that there is a division, and there has been a division in this country that has just been growing wider and wider and wider. And after this verdict came down, I just knew that, there is no going back. There's no unringing the bell that was rung with this verdict coming down against Donald Trump on charges that were an absolute sham to begin with, and just were a slap in the face to our country as a whole and to the people who love this country. And, the right thing could have been done here by so many people. We were failed by so many people in this case. And I think that the people who are celebrating this, celebrating this man's downfall, while they think it has to do with Trump, those are the simple-minded people in this country that we've still not been able to actually reach in a meaningful way in order to bridge the gap of this horrifically divided nation that has just spiraled out of control to the point where we're on the brink of utter destruction. And it's sad to me that people would celebrate in this moment. What is there to celebrate? Honestly, what is there to celebrate? I mean, I don't care how much you hate Trump. If you were an objective, semi-intelligent person, you would clearly be able to see what this means. And you would clearly be able to disavow this for what it is, which is a joke. I mean, and if you followed the case even a little bit, then you would know this. And the way that this was handled is a disgrace. It was done on purpose this way. The secrecy that loomed over the entire proceedings, the way the judge handled all of the different motions from both sides, the biases that were shown towards the prosecution, and the fact that we couldn't see any of it in real time. We had to rely on testimony and reading transcripts and reading people's reportings. It's just, I'm disgusted with what has gone on. I'm finding it difficult to realize the magnitude of what has happened, but I just feel it on my heart, and I feel it on my chest, and the heaviness that this is going to bring, and this is going to divide us for good now. I mean, I truly believe that. And Donald Trump will probably win, and I want him to win, but can this country even have a win at this point? I don't know if we can. I really don't know if we can, because there will forever be people who are now divided from one another based on this one ideological, idiotic point. And those people will forever hang their hats on calling Trump a felon, saying he's a convicted person who deserves all of the charges that were brought up against him, and that he's a criminal, without ever acknowledging the fact that, Joe Biden is basically a pedophile, okay, who showered with his daughter, that George Bush basically, allegedly, was responsible for 9/11. Let's just be honest. And the war in Iraq, killing million Iraq citizens. Barack Obama was a nihilistic freak who sowed the division that we're now all seeing throughout this country, and did drone strikes against innocent Middle Eastern countries, and it goes on and on. Bill Clinton, I mean, my God, he allegedly, killed two guys. I mean, they've killed people. I just don't understand how people can really sit up and call Donald Trump a criminal in the face of everything that we know to be true, and some of the things that we don't have confirmed yet, but It's pretty glaring in our faces that these people are sick, okay? And I just don't see there being any path to a reunification with those people who believe that, or who don't even, it's not even a belief at this point. It's just, an acknowledgement of a narrative, and, a willing and a readiness to go along with it. That's all it is. And it's just, so, all this has done is create a fracture throughout this country that will never be repaired, probably. And if it ever will be repaired, it's going to take, a massive tragedy, I'm sure, that's going to be just something that's unfathomable. And nobody wants to see that. And that, to me, is the biggest tragedy of it all. It's like, yes, I hate what they're doing to Donald Trump. And as a guy who I feel like tried to do something for the betterment of this country, no matter what you think, no matter what you feel like he said in a tweet, or what you feel like he's failed on, as a president and as a candidate, if he was your candidate, which I have those feelings too, and I'm going to play a video that I think speaks to some of that. But regardless of all of the, good, bad, ugly, or whatever, Donald Trump did something that cannot be discounted and should never be forgotten. And that was to stand up against the grain of the establishment and say, and wake people up and say, hey, this is not okay. What they're doing to the country is not okay. And had Donald Trump never come along, I don't know where we would all be. We'd all be way worse off than we are now. But it's like, now it's just kind of like catapulted all of this into a sooner timeline. But nevertheless, that cannot be discounted, or that cannot be forgotten or ignored, or, we can't just cast him to the side now, which I'm not saying that, anyone is even, really he has more support than it seems like ever before. But I'm just saying that it's a disgrace all around. So I don't really know what else to say. There's so much that I could say, but I'm just, it's really disheartening. And I didn't think that this would affect me the way that it has, but this is going to hurt a lot of people, and it's going to be a huge embarrassment and a huge disgrace of this country and the people who are Americans for years to come. And for the first time, I can honestly say that I am ashamed to be an American and have our criminal justice system come down with this verdict for these charges against this president. It's embarrassing, and I am embarrassed. So first thing we're going to look at is Donald Trump's statements right after the verdict came down. And this is what he had to say right outside of the courtroom.
Here's the former president, now a convicted felon 34 times.
And you know what?
About to address reporters.
Go take one up the ass, okay?
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end, and we'll win, because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now, from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
Why should voters vote for conviction?
Daniel, you heard what former president said there. What's the...
And we don't need to hear from you. Okay, so the mainstream media makes me sick. They are the panderers of this absolute and utter mess of a disgraceful third world country banana republic bullshit trial. And I just have no time for it. Like, I really don't. I mean, I'm just so disgusted with so many people at this juncture that I just can't. I'm finding it hard to even, like, get angry. Like, I normally would be, like, hooting and hollering on here, but it's like, I'm so just, like, I can't, I mean, I'm just, I don't want to say, like, disheartened, because I'm trying not to be that way, but, like, it's a very somber feeling. So, I mean, I just want to remind everyone that, like, what we're talking about here is convictions of falsifications of business records, okay? Not someone else's business. Not like Donald Trump was falsifying records for another person's business, therefore, you know, possibly doing some sort of fraud. These were his own business records, paying his own attorney, and they're alleging that the falsification of those records by mislabeling those payments as, you know, legal expenses instead of as a direct payment for, you know, an NDA payment to Stormy Daniels, the hooker, okay, that is somehow now a felony because he was trying to utilize that payment to increase his chances of winning the election. That is what we're talking about here, from as much as I can gather. Which it's so confusing that might not even be stated exactly correct, but that's pretty much the gist of it. I mean, to say it's a joke is almost a joke. It's laughable. It is just beyond the scope of what our justice system was intended to do. His due process, his constitutional rights in this case were just shit all over. I mean, just this judge should be, I mean, there should be like a mob, you know, forming outside of New York City. I'm not saying for violent reasons. No, I would never advocate for that. I'm just saying there should be like serious consequences and people need to be stepping down. And if Donald Trump does become president again, we need to see like dark MAGA. I mean, like you have not even, like you wouldn't even believe. I need to see people charged. I mean, at this point, it's a disgrace. This from Fox News. Biden campaign headquarters broke out in cheers after Trump guilty verdict was announced. And again, I will say, I don't know how anyone can be happy about this. No matter how you feel about Trump, if you are rejoicing over this absolute disgrace of a verdict and the fact that charges were brought up in the first place against Donald Trump. I don't care if you are the biggest hater of Trump on the planet. You should be able to see clearly that justice was not done here, which is the whole purpose of having a criminal justice system. You know, never mind the fact that Alvin Bragg won't even prosecute actual violent criminals. Okay, they are letting people out of prison on no bail left and right in New York City. They're prosecuting people like Daniel Penny, who defended people on the subway. And because, you know, some loser died on the subway because he was restrained from being able to cause bodily harm to other innocent subway riders. Now he's being charged, but people who attack people on the subway and throw Molotov cocktails at them or push people onto subway tracks or, you know, rob them blind, you know, stabbings, none of that is even considered. But people like Donald Trump, who mislabeled a business filing, you know, business record, because he wanted to pay some hooker to shut her fucking mouth. Because, he knew that it would probably not be great with his wife and the overall general public if some prostitute came out and said that she had sex with him. You know, this has been done before. He's not the first person in the world to do something like this. You know, and he won't be the last. But of course, leave it up to the Biden campaign to be absolute and utter pigs and rejoice in another man's downfall that they were the creators, the art directors behind, okay? So this was a statement issued by his 2024 re-election campaign. The threat Trump poses to our democracy has never been greater. I'm sorry, I almost choked on that. Donald Trump has always mistakenly believed he would never face consequences for breaking the law for his own personal gain, Biden campaign communications director Michael Tyler said. But Tyler emphasized that today's verdict does not change the fact that the American people face a simple reality. There's only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office, and that is at the ballot box. Convicted felon or not, Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. He is running an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge and retribution, pledging to be a dictator on day one and calling for our Constitution to be terminated so he can regain and keep power. Tyler continued, talking out of his gaping butthole. You know, I mean, just utter nonsense. Utter fucking nonsense. I mean, I don't even know. Does he know what he's talking about? Probably not. So he argued a second Trump term means chaos, ripping away Americans' freedoms, and fomenting political violence. And the American people will reject it this November. That's what you think. So just, I mean, gaslighting to the fullest extent. So this is from, they're calling this guy like torture lawyer or the torture person. I don't know. Apparently he worked for George Bush and, you know, did some crazy torture activities, whatever. George Bush's cabinet was filled with criminals. I mean, he was the head criminal in charge, but whatever he is, he's written this article, and it's titled, Trump's Trial Has Already Damaged the Office of the Presidency. To limit and undo that damage and restore the rule of law, Republicans may have no choice but to respond in kind, if they have the nutsack for it. I am having doubts that they do. Now that the jury holds the fate of former President Donald Trump in its hands, we can pause to more broadly assess the meaning of his trials. So it says, regardless of the trial's outcomes, its consequences will have a profound effect on the presidency. The weaker the Trump cases are, the more open the invitation is to future prosecutors of presidents of the opposite party. After this Trump trial, any city, county, or state prosecutor might be encouraged to prosecute any federal officer for conjured violations of a state's criminal law or other patently partisan reasons. A state DA in upstate New York, for example, could prosecute former President Barack Obama for murder for having ordered a drone strike on Al-Qaeda leaders that included an American from Buffalo. I mean, don't even get my hopes up, because wouldn't that be a sweet day? A California DA could prosecute George W. Bush for kidnapping a San Francisco resident who was captured by American forces while fighting for the Taliban. Well, listen, again, don't tempt me with a good time. Future presidents will now have to worry about their personal legal liability every time they make a decision, which can often involve the most difficult conflicts of values, cost, and benefits. It's just, y'all, I can't. The prospect of future prosecution will encourage risk-averse thinking, a presidency filled with insurance claims adjusters. Even without any constitutional text, judicial rulings, or congressional legislation that immunizes presidents, American leaders for 235 years have refused to pursue departing presidents. Gerald Ford, in a great act of statesmanship, pardoned Richard Nixon, even though it doomed his chances in the close 1976 election. Bush did not prosecute Bill Clinton for lying to the Whitewater Special Counsel, even though Clinton's Justice Department had conceded that he would become legally liable once he left office. And that would be the least of Bill Clinton's crimes, okay? My God, if there's a president who is ripe for the prosecuting, it's a damn Bill Clinton. I mean, they really all are. Like Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden could all get it, okay? And their crimes are far worse than President Trump's clerical errors, okay? Let's be real. Obama did not attempt to relitigate the difficult policy decisions made during the War on Terror by prosecuting Bush and his aides of which I was one. Trump did not order the investigation of Hillary Clinton, even though her intentional illegal diversion of thousands of classified emails to her home computer network was a central theme during his campaign. And let this be a lesson that maybe we should have done it. Nor had local or state prosecutors dared to interfere with the workings of the presidency before. And what is so different? Like, I mean, the derangement of this moment, guys, like, it cannot be stressed enough. I mean, just that one paragraph alone really just highlights it in its highest form. This is just a disgrace on every level. It makes no sense why we would choose to do this now for Donald Trump. Like, people like Fannie fucking Willis, who is a local prosecutor, okay? A terrible one at that, a whore who can't keep her fucking legs closed. And here I go. Now I'm getting loud. But it's like, we have bitches like that thinking that they can step to the office of the presidency and try to cuck him to a point where he can't do his job effectively if he gets another term. It's bullshit. It is complete and utter madness. And other countries are laughing at us. Okay? They're fucking laughing. And I mean, I'm disgraced over this. American leaders of the past understood, perhaps only implicitly, that prosecuting past presidents would undermine the very purpose of the executive power. Presidential power is meant to be exercised in situations that legislation cannot anticipate, such as crises, emergencies, and war. In Federalist Number 70, Alexander Hamilton explains why the founders chose to concentrate federal executive power in a single president. Recall that the Articles of Confederation had diluted executive power by locating it in a Congress composed of the states. Energy in the executive is a leading character in the definition of good government, he wrote. It is essential to the protection of the community against foreign attacks. It is not less essential to the steady administration of the laws. For the president to wield this power effectively, he must have the ability to act alone with decision, activity, secrecy, and dispatch. If others could veto or review executive action, only paralysis would follow. Constraining a single executive might impede or frustrate the most important measures of the government and the most critical emergencies of the state, cautioned Hamilton. For 235 years, American political leaders heeded Hamilton's warnings. They understood that the benefits of executive independence outweigh the need to enforce the criminal law against presidents, especially idiotic criminal law. They knew that political stability precluded the use of prosecution to settle scores with partisan rivals. They appreciated that presidents should spend their time in office leading the American people into a better future rather than relitigating the past. This was no principle enforced by the courts or mandated by legislatures. It instead found expression in the wisdom of presidents, attorney generals, and prosecutors. Well, that's our first problem. Joe Biden has no wisdom. He doesn't have a drop of fucking wisdom in that empty skull of his. I mean, his brain was removed some years ago. He's a walking retard. He's an empty suit. He's got nothing inside of him. But this took more than just him. This took a whole slew of empty-minded, corrupted individuals who could see nothing past their hand in front of their face in order to understand what it was that they were doing to this country and to our norms and what we built in order just to settle a score against President Trump because he had some mean tweets and he called, illegal aliens rapists and murderers, okay? Repairing this breach of constitutional norms will require Republicans to follow the age-old maxim, do unto others as they have done unto you. In order to prevent the case against Trump from assuming a permanent place in the American political system, Republicans will have to bring charges against Democratic officers, even presidents. A Republican DA will have to charge Hunter Biden for fraud or corruption for taking money from foreign governments. And why that hasn't been done yet, again, I don't know if Republicans have the balls for it. I'm so just beyond disgust. I don't even know if I'm going to vote for anybody else but Donald Trump. I'm so loathsome over our political system. Another Republican DA will have to investigate Joe Biden for influence peddling at the behest of a son who received payoffs from abroad. And why that hasn't been done yet either, I don't know. Only retaliation in kind can produce the deterrence necessary to enforce a political version of mutual assured destruction without the threat of prosecution of their own leaders. Democrats will continue to charge future Republican presidents without restraint. The American system has no effective check on prosecutors other than their own sense of professional ethics and perhaps a threat of rejection by the voters. So if a prosecutor has no professional ethics, as we can all clearly see that people like Fani Willis clearly don't. I mean, forget professional ethics. The bitch doesn't have a personal ethics. Okay? It's a joke. It's a joke. There's no effective check other than their own sense of professional ethics. Therefore, a prosecutor must choose cases in which the offense is the most flagrant, the public harm the greatest, and the proof the most certain. The last thing he should do is pick people that he thinks he should get rather than pick cases that need to be prosecuted. The rule of law is undermined if prosecution becomes a tool for the government to use for political purposes. It is in such cases in which the prosecutor picks some person whom he dislikes or desires to embarrass, or selects some group of unpopular persons and then looks for an offense that the greatest danger of abuse of prosecuting power lies.
Thank you for joining us here today. Earlier this afternoon, Donald Trump was arraigned by a Manhattan grand jury on 34 felony counts.
This case is an abomination. You know, it's obviously political. 7 years to try to come up with this case. They're just wrong on the law.
The only crime that Donald Trump is being prosecuted for is the crime of running for president.
Political persecution at the highest level.
They've quite frankly given up on trying to beat him at the polls. Either going to steal it or stop it by law firm.
A Democrat prosecutor elected on a Get Trump platform.
What's going on here is a disgusting disgrace. It is war on Trump, it is war on the Republican Party, and it is a war on the Republic.
This case is the weakest case I've seen in 60 years of teaching, practicing, and writing about criminal law.
And I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump.
This judge, I mean, you don't need a prosecutor if you have a judge like this. This judge is not on the level.
It's a terrible case, but the judge has been pretty much a rubber stamp on everything that Bragg has wanted to do.
They're perverting the system of justice. You know, that's where the danger lies. The corruption and subversion of our institutions by the left.
This is the Democrats' entire strategy, to confine President Trump to a dirty criminal courtroom and keep him off the campaign trail where he can bring his winning message to voters across this country.
New York has become a legal banana republic. They are so determined to get Donald Trump.
Look, convicting Donald Trump, that's all they have.
I think they have no cards. And they're depending upon Trump getting convicted.
That Trump train doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
The only verdict that matters is the verdict at the ballot box.
These people are sick. These people are fucking sick. So the prosecutors, they're all compromised. They're bought and paid for. Our system of justice is in shambles. The country is disgraced, people.
That's it. I've had it with this dump. We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
I mean, my God almighty, save us. I mean, that's all we can hope for is Jesus himself to come down and save us all. So I want to read actually something that, I'll give credit to Ron DeSantis, who I, have had my problems with, especially throughout the primary. But, I've always liked Ron DeSantis, and we've come to terms with, well, listen, we've made amends with each other. We're getting back to a good place. And with this statement here, this is one of the first ones that I read and that I saw on Twitter. And I thought it was actually very poignant and very well said. And I have a lot of respect and appreciate this statement that he made after the verdict came out. So I want to read this from Governor DeSantis. Today's verdict represents the culmination of a legal process that has been bent to the political will of the actors involved. A leftist prosecutor, a partisan judge, and a jury reflective of one of the most liberal enclaves in America, all in an effort to get Donald Trump. That this case involving alleged misdemeanor business records violations from nearly a decade ago was even brought as a testament to the political debasement of the justice system in places like New York City. This is especially true considering the same district attorney routinely excuses criminal conduct in a way that has endangered law-abiding citizens in his jurisdiction. It is often said that no one is above the law, but it is also true that no one is below the law. If the defendant were not Donald Trump, this case would have never been brought. The judge would have never issued similar rulings, and the jury would have never returned a guilty verdict. In America, the rule of law should be applied in a dispassionate, even-handed manner, not become captive to the political agenda of some kangaroo courts. And honestly, couldn't have said it better myself. You know, I'll stop calling you Rob now, okay? It's Ron. It's Ron DeSantis, okay? Thank you. Thank you for your words, sir. We, stand back and stand by. That's all I have to say. So I'm going to read some of the other reactions on Twitter. Matt Walsh, Donald Trump should make and publish a list of 10 high-ranking Democrat criminals who he will have arrested when he takes office. First on the list should be Joe Biden. Second should be Joe Biden's crackhead son. And we approve this message, okay? We approve this message, and we've already proven that, Letitia James is a criminal. She's done all kinds of shady, people have been looking into her records, okay? Her campaign finance records. Let's take a closer look at those. And same thing with Fannie Willis, those two can be added to the list as well. I'm sure there's others. Let's just add them all. Okay, me voting for Trump in 2016 versus me voting for Trump in 2024. This is true. And then Andrew Tate had a statement as well. What the fuck? Donating $200,000 to my Trump with the hard fucking R. Okay, with a hard R. He said it with his chest. Okay. That's what Andrew Tate said. And, I just wanted to let you guys know. And the Hodge twins, they said hard R's for Trump. They're black and they know what time it is. They know what's going on. They co-sign the hard R's for Trump. Okay, so there's that. Jimmy Dore said the proof that this is a political prosecution of Trump and that we are now a banana republic is that George Bush still walks the earth a free man along with Dick Cheney, who actually shot a guy, two guys who lied us into an illegal war, killed 1 million people, and then ordered a worldwide torture program. That is so true. That is so true. My goodness. And then Cat Turd also had a great statement. I mean, of all people, fucking Cat Turd. Okay, I really enjoyed this as well. I thought this was very poignant. From, the turd of a cat. It says, Dear Republican Party, I don't want to hear another damn word about Ukraine. I don't want to hear another damn word about Israel. I don't want to hear another damn word about Gaza. I don't want to hear another damn word about Taiwan. I don't want to hear another damn word about any other country except the USA. You America last war pigs. Yeah, spit and fire. The fascist Democratic Party has completely destroyed our country from within. We have a wide open border and they're shitting on the Constitution while you spineless, coward losers get rich on insider trading, rage tweet, and talk about your principles. They're literally arresting their political opponents and their lawyers and having kangaroo communist show trials, and you pitiful, worthless losers are doing absolutely nothing. If you don't have balls to fight for freedom, resign.
Perfect.
I'm pearls are clutched, okay? The pearls are clutched. I'm shooketh. And I need a minute to recover from that because, my God, he just torched the whole scene. So, that was probably my favorite one of all. And I also just want to highlight a couple quotes that were from 1984 that I feel are very, they're very relevant in this moment. And if you haven't read the book 1984, I know it's maybe cliche to say this or to bring up 1984 right now, and people can say that that's dramatic or that that's just, you know, going over the top, whatever. It's literally, read the room, okay? This is where we're at. This is where we're at. But if you haven't read 1984, I suggest you do so. I mean, it's basically a blueprint of our futures if we don't get our shit together. And it might even be too late. But I want to highlight these two quotes from this book because I think that it really just drives the point home. And one is, power is not a means, it is an end. One does not establish a dictatorship in order to safeguard a revolution. One makes the revolution in order to establish the dictatorship. The object of persecution is persecution. The object of torture is torture. The object of power is power. In the end, the party would announce that 2 and 2 made 5, and you would have to believe it. It was inevitable that they should make that claim sooner or later. The logic of their position demanded it. Not merely the validity of experience, but the very existence of external reality was tacitly denied by their philosophy.
And the other major concern is they've crossed one Rubicon after another. And this seems to be the second to last Rubicon that they are willing to cross in order to preserve power, even if it means burning down the entire institution and reigning over the ashes. How far are they going to go? I thought they were going to go as far as they went with trying to get Trump off the ballot, indicting him, trying to lock him up. What's the next Rubicon? Because there's only 1 or 2 more left, and they ain't good. And it doesn't look like this corrupt war machine of a Democrat deep state uni party to some extent is going to stop. Am I angry? No. I'm disappointed. Am I shocked? No. I am just unpleasantly surprised that I was right in the prediction, that they actually had the audacity to do it. I tweeted this out after the Engeron ruling. Get out of New York. I retweeted that tweet with get out of New York. This is going to wreak havoc on New York. There's no good reason to do business there anymore. There's no good reason to exist there if you are politically disfavored. And if anybody thinks this stops with the politically disfavored, you're idiots. You don't know what happens in communism. You don't know what happens under these fascist regimes. Once they're done using you for their purposes, they go after you. And they're going to go after everybody who's politically disfavored, and that will change over time. And get out of New York. It's going to devastate the economy, and it will, and it should. And people should boycott New York as a matter of principle, even though I don't typically support boycotts. But the problem is, this does irreparable harm to the fabric of America, and you think Putin is ever going to look at America and say, you're going to lecture me? You think Kim Jong-un is looking at this and saying, well, Otto Warmbier had a trial, but his only lasted a day. You dragged yours on for 5 weeks. Oh, but we didn't have a jury. It was a politically biased jury pool in a politically biased district in a prosecution that was corrupt to the core, run by political operatives. And that's it. Convenient timing. They're going to run with the headlines. It gets overturned in appeal. We might have an immunity decision that changes all of this. And when it turns out that this is going to help Donald Trump, which it will, because people are seeing through this and people are, I hope, getting outraged by this. The only people rejoicing on this are political hacks. MSNBC, Lawrence Tribe, George Conway, Mark Elias, Michael Cohen. The only people rejoicing in this are political hacks who have financial gain from this and who would sooner pop the ball than share it. They would sooner destroy the system than allow for a free election where people can vote for the candidate of their choice. They're going to run with, do you want to vote with for a convicted felon? They're going to do it. It's not going to make a darn difference. But they've done irreparable harm to the fabric of the judiciary. It's about freaking time the Supreme Court might step in and say, enough is enough. You can't go back on certain things. And the damage that this has done to the judiciary, I would argue, is on par with the damage that was done to the medical institutions over the last 4 years. We can't trust what we once thought were pillars, the foundation of a free, democratic, and just society. And I don't know how you come back from that.
Big facts. The institutions that have been utterly destroyed and trust obliterated, I mean, have been astronomical. A medical industry, the judicial system, the political system, it's just, everything's crumbling, and it's absolutely maddening. So the last thing I want to show you guys is this. Just to be fair and put a different spin on this. And I wanted to just play this because I always respect Nick Fuentes' point of view. And his position has been shifting a bit. And I have noticed that he, you know, has had a slight tilt of becoming blackpilled in the realm of Trump, where he used to be one of the biggest supporters of Trump. And I think that he'll eventually come back around. But he has been blackpilled a little bit and pushing a black pill message about Trump. And I want to play this because I do agree with a lot of his points and the frustrations that he expresses about Trump and about this new version of Trump and what it is that's going on. But I think it's important to acknowledge those concerns and to voice those concerns, but not to allow that to, again, like I said in the beginning, discredit or to cast Trump aside as somebody who we should just throw away because of what he did for the country to wake people up and to push a movement that will hopefully allow some sort of, you know, reawakening of the country and recapturing of the, you know, fundamentals of our, you know, Constitution and the founding of this country. Whatever can push that along, and Donald Trump was the catalyst for that, we cannot just disregard. But I do want to play this video for you guys. I'll just play maybe a couple minutes of it. But
where is the Trump aide that told him that was a good idea? Because they should be imprisoned forever. Whoever said, hey, what if we went to the Libertarian Party? It's like, what do you want, drugs? What a stupid idea. He goes there. It's in like some hotel ballroom. There's like 1,500 people. This is supposed to be like a major national party that's been around for 1,000,000 years. They're getting up there saying, we got to tell Trump to go fuck himself. And they nominate this like gay guy. Read the room, man. It's 2024. They nominate an open homosexual who says he's going to send his kids to drag story hour and is in favor of COVID lockdowns. Read the room. They never can. They nominate Gary Johnson and then some woman, now this. And Trump is going to go into the middle of the shit show, just like, why? You know, years ago, Trump would just fill stadiums. And he'd go there and talk about the Celebrity Apprentice and how rich he is. And he'd just call illegals rapists. Those were the good old days. Now he goes to like the Libertarian Convention. He's like, I'm going to appoint a Libertarian and free Ross Ulbricht. Like, yeah, that guy should probably be freed. But it's also like, who cares? Like, our country's being raped to death by Jews and immigrants. And you're like, I'm going to the Libertarian Party where they nominate some gay guy. We're going to free Ross Ulbricht. Oh, great. I wanted a dictator. I got like Ted Cruz. I wanted a dictator, fascist. Whatever happened to the unified Reich? The unified Trumpenreich, whatever happened? You know, raise your right hand. Let's have a bunch of middle school cheerleaders sing some dystopian anthem. Remember that rally? Let's blame George Bush for 9/11 and call all illegals rapists. Where's that guy? Then this guy goes up and he's like, we're going to fight communism and like free Ross Ulbricht. Stink. Nobody can tell. All the pro-Trump shit is just cope at this point, okay?
And so I'm just stopping right there because, you know, he just goes on in this way. But, you know, and I don't discount what Nick's saying. And I'm not mad at him for saying it because I understand where he's coming from. People who really stood behind Trump and supported him to the fullest are frustrated with him. I'm one of those people. I feel the frustration to, you know, all the same levels. But I do just feel a sense of loyalty, and still I just feel a sense of support and unwavering dedication towards him and what was started with that movement. And so I just don't think that we can hold him to the same standard as what was going on in 2016. It's a different time. Things have transpired. Look at all that's happened since then. So it's easy to say, where's that same energy from 2016? But it has to be looked back on with some retrospective lens and just really with the understanding that it's not the same time. It's not the same Trump. It's not the same country. And in order for us to get him over the finish line, he kind of does have to have a different message. And I think that he's doing what he can. And I think he's also been fundamentally changed as a man and as a person. I mean, he's had half of his country and pretty much the city that he helped to build with his father and lived in his whole life turn against him. Okay, and treat him like a pariah, treat him like a bad person when all he ever did and wanted to do was care about this country and to try to make things better for everyone. And people treated him worse than shit under their shoe, okay? So I think a little compassion and a little bit of empathy and a little bit of patience and understanding is called for. And it's not only called for, it's necessary. And we have to make the allowances where Trump failed and where he continues to fail and where he continues to show signs of weakness where he once had strength. We have to be the bridge that fills those gaps, okay? That's just my thoughts on it. And you can call it a cope, you can call it just delusion, whatever you want to say. What's our alternative? Joe fucking Biden for 4 more years? I mean, let's just get real and look at the bigger picture, okay? I think it's the wrong messaging and it's the wrong perspective to have when it comes to Donald Trump in this moment where things are so crucial and things are so bad for, you know, the country and what's going on. So that's just my thoughts on it, guys, though. What are your thoughts? I mean, please tell me all of your damn thoughts on this because it's a mess. We are in a spiral, guys. We're going down. SOS. But what are your thoughts on it, guys? Let me know before this ship sinks. And like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel. I don't know when this is going to be posted. If this is like a week late and you're wondering why the fuck I'm posting about this, understand that that's why. And YouTube can go and, take a long walk off of a short pier, as far as I'm concerned. So, until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.
A glorious victory. A vast strategic maneuver to outflank the Eurasian forces on the African front has been successful.
Much had changed in him since the first day in the Ministry of Love, but the final, indispensable, healing change had never happened until this moment. The waiters were turning back to their work. One of them approached with the gin bottle. Winston, sitting in a blissful dream, paid no attention as his glass was filled up. He was not running or cheering any longer. He was back in the Ministry of Love, with everything forgiven, his soul white as snow. He was in the public dock, confessing everything, implicating everybody. He was walking down the white-tiled corridor with the feeling of walking in sunlight and an armed guard at his back. The long-hoped-for bullet was entering his brain. He gazed up at the enormous face. 40 years it had taken him to learn what kind of smile was hidden beneath the dark mustache. Oh, cruel, needless misunderstanding. Oh, stubborn, self-willed exile from the loving breast. 2 gin-scented tears trickled down the sides of his nose. But it was all right. Everything was all right. The struggle was finished. He had won the victory over himself. He loved Big Brother.
Put on notice, if you fuck around with us, if you do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. 2024 is our final battle. They stole our jobs, and they plundered our wealth. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots. The activists nation word, Ronald McDonald. We will drive out the globalists. All patriots go. We will cast out the communists. America will start winning again. Winning like never before. We will bring back our jobs. We will bring back our borders. And we will bring back our dreams.